so we have Joe with Toggle Industries.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Joe. I am with Toggle Industries, and as a quick overview, we are a cybersecurity firm. We're one of a billion of them out there. But let me jump directly into it. I want to try and make this as interactive with the crowd as humanly possible. How many of you all here were directly impacted by the Target breaches in 2013, losing your credit card information? So a show of hands. How many of you were directly impacted by stuff like that? How annoying was that? Pretty annoying, yeah? In the sense that you have to go out, you have to make sure you're changing all your bank information, request new cards, register for all those protections to make sure your information isn't compromised any further. And fast forwarding now to 2016, 2015, even now 2017, how many of you all have been directly impacted by ransomware? Does anyone know what ransomware is? Who doesn't know what ransomware is? So, by definition, ransomware is a piece of software that takes your files captive, whether you're in the medical industry, whether you're in a legal industry, a CPA, whatever the case is. If you have clients and you get hit by a piece of ransomware, that means your files, your ability to operate within your business is instantly compromised, because what happens is the piece of software lost your files and says, hey, you must pay us a fee of anywhere between $100 all the way to several millions of dollars before we unlock your files. And what's worse is there's actually two reasons of why this is such a bad idea for you or as business owners and other entrepreneurs. One, you have no guarantee that your files will be recovered. And two, I was actually in a conference with the FBI a few months ago now, and they were saying the majority of the monies, whether paid in Bitcoin or USD, whatever the case is, that gets paid to these entities goes directly to funding terrorism. Okay? Not many people understand this. They say, oh, well, it's $7,000. If I'm out of business for 1, even 2 days, my medical practice, we're going to lose tens, if not a few $100,000. So they gladly pay the $7,000. But those are discussions that you rightfully should not be having as a business owner or with your executive team. Just to give you a little background, I was in the Air Force and the Army. I was a cyber warfare engineer. It was my job to work with the Department of Defense, Energy, Homeland Security, and many of our nation-state actors, such as Israel, Ireland, the United Kingdom, Germany. It was my job to go in, advise them. But however, the more, less politically correct answer is, I broke things. I was a hacker. I go through and I tell you, Mr. Customer or Mr. Secretary of State or Mr. Minister of Defense, this is how I broke into your system. And this is how you should fix it to prevent other nation actors, your people who may want access to your intelligence, this is how you prevent them from doing that. So fast forward to where I am today. We as an entity, we looked into the environment and we said, yeah, there's about 111 cybersecurity firms in Colorado alone. What are they doing? And I took a look at myself and said, how can myself and my team, how can we benefit local business? I'm very proud to say that we are the only firm in Colorado that specializes in local business. We hear of so many other companies that are always focusing on enterprise cybersecurity, government level, helping governments secure their enterprise, or on the other side, helping local businesses who want to get into the government become compliant so they can win those multi-million-dollar contracts. We as a firm, we specialize in leveraging enterprise-level cybersecurity to local business. My mentality is, okay, well, if I can have a conversation with local businesses here, whether you are a two-man CPA firm, or whether you are the local attorney who everyone trusts and goes to, or whatever the case is, if you process information, you should not have to worry about saying, well, if I get hit by something like ransomware, how am I going to be able to survive? Ever since all the incidents that have been happening, especially with Target, Home Depot, Wells Fargo, the Yahoo attacks, people are saying, if I lose all this information, what's the next step? I do not believe that cybersecurity should be this goal or this solution that is only accessible to large organizations. You look at the big companies, they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars a year, and they have wide teams, armies of people who work in their network operations centers or the secure operations centers, making sure that their solutions aren't compromised. But what about us? What about local business? who is looking out for us? I've been in the industry for over a decade now, actually, and there are so many little nuances that people can look at just to see, well, what can be done? What isn't being done? So let me tell you a really funny story. When I was 14 years old, I got in trouble with to put it lightly, I broke into a classified system within the government. I was bored. I was ninth grade. I was in my biology class. I'll never forget this. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, what can I do to navigate the topology of this network here? One thing led to the other. I was at a public school, Department of Education. Jumped from one system to the next. 9 months later, 2 people walked into my class. I'll never forget. It was my chemistry class, Mr. Tier. 2 people walk in, stops the instructor. The 2 guys were with the principal, said, we're looking for a Mr. Joseph Chung. I'm pretty sure I hit puberty that moment. So from there, it launched into a career of, okay, well, how can I use this to protect not only myself, but the people around me, and most importantly, how can I have a conversation with every single person I come across? If every one of you all leave here just a little bit more educated about the risks as well as benefits of cybersecurity, then I've done my job. I'm a certified mentor with the Air Force Association. I hold classes at University of Colorado Springs, and I educate people of all ages. This is what you can do with it, this is what it is, and most importantly, how can you protect your information and your livelihood? Thank you.
Joe, first question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said that you specialize in cars, but will you help customers outside of the area?
That is an excellent question. We focus on small business and absolutely local. We have clients in California, South Dakota, Texas, Florida, Nevada, and China, actually. So our focus is to try and leverage and create a new standard. We have actually partnered with a few local firms, and one being actually technologists that are present here today. We work with other MSPs, managed service providers, so we can have a direct interaction with smaller and local businesses. Because whenever we go into an enterprise or into an environment and say, hey, look, we are cybersecurity vendors, they instantly think, oh, you're tech guys. And so we already have a person for that. That could not be the farther from the truth. There is IT, information technology, and information assurance/security. We are the cybersecurity side, we're your security people. We break your stuff. And then the other MSPs, the other ones that actually create your foundation as a network backbone. And in tandem, we're able to better protect our environment. So absolutely, we have a very strong emphasis to try and create a new standard, if you will. And that's what we're trying to lay across the board. So at the end of the day, you don't have to say, well, this person's doing this, or why do we have so many different things, so many different antiviral platforms? What is a good base that everyone can be on so that we can continually raise the bar in security? Good question. Yes, sir.
So what does this process look like if I'm a small business owner and I'm interested in?
That is a very good question. So let me, in order to effectively answer that question, let me give you a quick 30-second synopsis as to how other cybersecurity firms work. They charge $50,000 up front for what is known as a penetration test or a network vulnerability assessment. At Toggle Industries, we don't charge a penny for it because in my eyes, small businesses can't afford $50,000. Not many can, okay? So you reach out to us, or we reach out to you in an event like this, and we say, Mr. Customer, would 30 minutes be worth your time to determine where your proverbial rear end is handing out in your business? And if we can protect your information, would that be worth your time? And by the way, it's free. It really is a free conversation. We as an entity, we are very prideful in the fact that we are educationally structured, and that is our mission. Again, if I can have a conversation with you for 30 minutes and point out to you, hey, this is where you have some vulnerabilities, and we work with your existing tech team, or we bring in our own tech staff, and we can lay out those issues for you, then I've done my job. From there, if there really are some glaring issues, you have 2 options. 1, you can hire us to fix it for you, or 2, if you have a preferred vendor, you can go with them. It is not my job to go on and say, well, you have to do this and just use a scare tactic. My job is to point out black and white. This is where your network is. This is what, whether it's Comcast, CenturyLink, L3, whoever else, this is how they set up your network, and this is what we think is the most beneficial next step for you. And that is the conversation I'd rather have than you call me 6 months ago, you literally says, oh my God, this just happened, please help us. Believe me, it does happen. If I may tell you a quick story. We had a client that we reached out to. They're a huge firm. And we said, hey, look, we would love to have a conversation with you guys, and we think that with all the incidents that have gone on, we are seeing that this is a problem. Your industry, you being in this industry, is actually one of the biggest targets. They said, no, we're good. 9 months later, no, well, actually, it was about a year later, actually. About a year later, I got a phone call from the Greenwood Village Police Department saying, hey, so we as a city, we just got hacked. And this person, or this organization, it stemmed from them. You are a cybersecurity firm. Can you please put us in the right direction, because this is a problem? And lo and behold, I found myself sitting in the exact same office, and he says, yeah, I kind of regret not talking to you. Long story short, unfortunately for them, in one weekend, we blew through 2 years of their tech budget. And here's why. The attack that happened, it was a cloud botnet. It had infected itself all the way down to the hardware level. And again, this is a huge research facility. We had to remove and replace every single piece of hardware that was in their office. I think their spend was over $2.5 million. Just to give you a little quick idea, as a small organization, if your company gets breached and you lose social security numbers, credit card information, PIIs, personally identifiable information, every single device, whether it is your cell phone, your laptop, your tablet, any network-connected device, on average, per device lost about $250,000. Lost business, lost revenue, loss of reputation, and most importantly, lawsuits, and of course, fines from the government because they have to get their chain, right? Every single device is about $250,000. So let's say you're a really, really, really small CPA firm, and you have, again, a cell phone that you have your access to email, a laptop, and a tablet. That's $750,000 potentially. I don't know about you, but I don't know many companies here locally that can afford a $750,000 loss just like that. Think of it this way. You spent 20, 30 years building your business, and then in one night, it's gone. It's horrifying. Yes, sir.
I don't know enough about the industry, but it seems to me the basic problem is we have an open system. And with an open system, we're always trying to close it, but it's designed open. So is anyone moving towards something like blockchain or one of these? It's a closed system that says, you know what, forget about allowing anyone in, any back doors, and can, with governments wanting to know, is that even possible?
That is, I like, it's like your plant for me. So I was actually reading an article about blockchain the other day. There is, for those who don't know, blockchain basically is where everything connects into each other and keeps it within a rose garden, if you will. So the real question lends into, with the internet the way it is, first of all, the internet was never designed for mass communication, for mass public use. The internet was a conception of DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. It was known as DARPANet. It was in the event that the United States gets nuked in the Cold War, they could still reroute traffic. The internet was designed for simplistic communication. And we as a society say, we all have smartphones, we all have social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Office 365, having email, communicating back and forth. You're absolutely correct. It is very, very, very difficult to try and segregate all this traffic. And let me start off by saying this. There is absolutely no such thing. No such thing. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. There is no such thing as a 100% secure network. So, to answer your question, Chuck, we are we are implementing a proactive approach with our MSP partners. What that means is, instead of just installing antivirus on computers, we go out and say, okay, how can we actually prevent or dissuade your network from accessing a known rogue network? For example, you're on Google, you're searching for something, and you accidentally click on a link that you didn't need to, and you click back. You think nothing of it. The 1 to 2 seconds maybe that you're on that network, something gets downloaded to your computer. It's called drive-by viruses. With that, we try and create a proactive solution because not only are we now putting products in place that actively monitor your traffic, we can go out and say, okay, well, we're going to do a block all and white list policies. That is a very simplistic approach. Of course, there are more complex ways to go through, but in this day and age, by us creating your own private network, And having no chance of someone accessing your system is impossible, except if you decide to unplug your network from the rest of the world, which is unfortunately not feasible. The technology that we see today, there's EDR, endpoint detection and response software out there that constantly monitors your platforms. And that's actually a service that myself and a few of our other partners provide. We go through and try and figure out how can we see what's coming to your network now and then stop it before it causes any more damage. So a lot of times, I'll use Symantec as a perfect example. They are a definition-based antivirus platform. What that means is a piece of software comes in, they'll check, Symantec will check the piece of software and scan it and see, okay, is this on a list of known vulnerabilities or known viruses? We don't think that works, okay? It's just like TSA. They're always adding new policies and procedures because something happened and now they're adding it. We're always preparing for yesterday's battle. We work with the premise of behavioral analysis. A piece of software comes on, of course we'll check to see if there are any glaring problems. I mean, if you're coughing, you're sneezing, we definitely don't want you to get on the plane. I mean, it depends, right? But in this case, we say, okay, well this software is now here, it seems okay. What is it doing? Is it trying to access the command and control structure? Is it trying to access the CPA's files? Is it trying to access a main server where all your litigation files are at? What is it doing? If it does something that is outside the parameter of this type of program, we flag it. We flag it. And then if it continues to do it, we flag it even more. And then it alerts an engineer, one of my engineers. They'll say, okay, well, this is really interesting. Let me take a look at it. Let me see exactly what it's doing. So not only are we looking from a heuristic perspective, but we're looking from a behavioral perspective of a piece of software. Is it doing what it's supposed to? Is it trying to communicate to a Russian IP address, a Chinese IP address? What is it doing? Those are all the questions that we ask consistently within our client networks.
How much do you integrate that with marketing? Because I know like just even with people going to like websites, being able to increase your popularity by having an HTTPS and things like that. How much of that is part of what your communication with your clients? So that being an aspect of being able to be found and not being skipped by being hit by those things.
Good question. So let me actually speak to the HTTP versus HTTPS. Hybrid Text Transfer Protocol, that's what HTTPS, and secure is actually a facade. It is a huge security bug that people buy into in recent years. Oh, it's green, it's safe, it must be okay. It's complete and utter bollocks. Because when you see HTTPS, you instantly get the feeling that, oh my gosh, my information is secure, I can put in my credit card information. But at the end of the day, I mean, another quick story. Who here has Comcast? Show of hands. Does anyone who wants the Comcast?
Actually, this room is.
I had a conversation with Comcast because out of a test factor of 10 clients, 3 out of the 10 had Chinese malware installed in their Comcast modems. I talked with them and they said, yeah, we are aware of the situation. Why are you not replacing, was my question back. Who here remembers what happened with Firestone? They didn't replace their tires because it wasn't cost effective. I'll leave you to your own imagination. So with that, in regards to your question for marketing, we have examples like these where we show, okay, well, in terms from a marketing perspective, the search engine optimization, the social media management, the content creation, we try and determine what is the most appropriate way that you can catalog your sites. And for example, with one of our partners, with Technology specifically, we deploy a platform called Cisco OpenDNS. It is a platform that checks every single website that you're accessing against known variables, against known malware sites, botnet distributors, and we'll say, okay, this is what we see here, and how can we make sure that your marketing platform, your web platform, is optimized accordingly so that when your clients are looking for you, or more importantly, when you're trying to protect your information, that your internal operations doesn't accidentally access one of those sites. It's all about the education component. Does that answer your question?
That totally answers my question.
Okay. Yes, sir.
And so I would imagine your own, being in the line of work that you are, your own personal information is probably safer than most of ours.
I am one of many people who are paranoid. So most of the time, people at home, they have their own wireless networks. I spent about $10,000 to build a network stack in my house. I have 4 virtual local area networks. So the majority of you guys who have Cisco, CenturyLink, Comcast, whoever else, they give you this nice pretty little box. and you do your Wi-Fi off of that. You put all your devices connected to Xbox or PlayStation, anything else, or more horrifyingly, your Internet of Things devices directly connects to that. I have 4 virtual local area networks. That means I have 4 completely separate and segregated networks. One for my wife's and I's mobile devices and laptops. Another one for our Amazon Echo, which is IoT, so shame on me. 3 is for our security system, and 4 is for guests. Let's say one of my good friends, known for 10 years, comes over to my house. Hey, Joe, can I have access to your internet? Absolutely. Hop on the guest network. So what that means is if something happens, if something is on his laptop, his cell phone, whatever that's a problem, sucks to be you. It's spanning the network. And by the way, let me actually point something out. Your Philips Hue bridge, the one that does your lights, or your Roku box, did you know that every 10 seconds it pings itself to China? Here's why. It's not for any malicious reasons. It's to say, I have connection to the internet, I'm okay. But why China? And 2, first of all, it's cheap, but why China? And 2, what is it sending out? Did you know that your iPhone, who here has an iPhone? Okay, everyone has an iPhone. If you have an iPhone, this is not a conspiracy, this is fact, okay? It's not conjecture, this is fact. Your iPhone, sitting idly on your company or your home's wireless network, patches out 4 gigs of data a day. 4 gigs of data is equivalent to about 8 hours of audio, video, locational information. What is it doing? Who's it sending it out to? Think about that.
Oh, we only have time for the last question, sorry.
Okay, nice man.
Well, what can we as a community do to help you?
I'm very glad you asked that question. We have a page on our website, toggleind.com. It is for technical articles. I've written a few articles that is designed to, at the very base, answer those questions. What is the cloud? Who understands the cloud? We've all seen it, right? So, what is the cloud? What is social engineered hacking? Social engineered hacking is essentially the concept of, well, I'm not behind a computer. I walk into a service industry. Hey, I have an appointment with doctor or attorney or so-and-so. He says, okay, give me 1 second. Would you like some coffee? I would love some coffee. They walk away, I lean over and plug in a flash drive. Or I can go online, actually, probably on your computer, but you probably won't. And I can look up who owns what company, where they live, their social security number, their credit card information, and I see they have an iPhone. I call Apple support. Hey, my name is, pick your name. Yeah, I locked myself out of my Apple ID, out of my Apple account. Okay, sir, we just need to ask you some security questions to confirm your identity. What is last very social? Here it is. Where have you lived for the last 2 addresses? Here it is. What date were you born? Here it is. What is your spouse's name? It's all online. That's social engineering hacking. So all these basic information, I encourage you all to go on because if you can help me and help the community better understand the risks, as again the benefits, then you are helping me do my job. Thank you very much.
So Joe will be one of the presenters, one of the 3 next week, so please come next week and check that out as well.